Hello, Chris Zukowski.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you here, and I see you've been doing the rounds, kind of talking to people about how to make a game. Well, not how to make a game, but how to make sure your game does as well as possible on Steam.
Yes, yeah. I don't know anything about making them, but I can tell you how to market them. And yep, that's what I'm here to preach the good word for.
I'm always glad to have you over here on Indie Game Clinic because marketing is not my area, so it's nice to have a specialist. I wanted to do something kind of practical with you today, Chris, because the channel is so much about giving people feedback on their projects. And I know you do stuff like this on your channel all the time, where you kind of roast people's Steam pages a little bit.
I love it. I softly pat their game. I don't roast, and I do this. If you buy the masterclass, I am doing a gentle roasting for everybody who bought it. So this is what I do every time I do a sale. So let's get ready for it. I'm ready to gently toast. I toast people.
We're not going to get through like all of them in the time, so I've tried to anonymize them. And I know that you love a spreadsheet. You're a data guy. You love putting things in spreadsheets. I have made the most high-tech spreadsheet in the world. You will see by the power of Rand Between, we're going to randomly select one of these links. Hopefully, because the Indie Game Clinic community is so switched on, we're going to see people that have already heard your advice elsewhere and are already taking it. So what I would like to see here is if our community are sort of generally above average in terms of like how well they're following good practice. So 24, Ashes of More Graveyard. Where do we want to look first? Capsule art?
Yeah, let's look at capsule art, see what's going on here. Okay, so in general, it seems pretty good. One thing that I always look at, which is really hard, is people never change the size. The worst offender, and we'll probably see some, is people just do all the same text size. It's all just the same thing. This, I like how you made the A big, the N small, big, and then the OF for of smaller. It sounds subtle, but that's a hard thing. So fine. I assume it's a dude with a sword game, a really great genre, I guess, for a lot of people. But it looks like a dude with a sword game based on the capsule. Let's unlock to see if this is a dude with a sword game.
Yeah, it's actually not. It's a sort of card-driven tactical deck builder with a map.
Okay, well then. I know it sounds like Chris. That is the dumbest thing. If it's a card battler rogue tactical thing, throw some cards into the title. I know it sounds weird, but like out of the M is like a fan out of cards, or you change the A into an ace of some way, or you put a clubs somewhere, or like the main guy's holding a deck of cards. I know it sounds stupid and cliche, but when I saw that thing, I assumed we were going to do a dude with a sword game, like a Souls-like, that sort of thing. So you really need to put those secret symbols into your capsule to tell people what the game is. So that's my advice, is figure out how you can get a card in there some way.
It's kind of like the advice you often give about trailers, where it's you want to show the action straight away so people can identify whether the game mechanics are for them. And you're sort of talking about doing the same thing in capsule art. It's like, can I immediately tell what I'm going to be doing in this game? And that does kind of make me think it's going to be Dark Souls or Zelda, right?
What you're doing, the reason you do this, and I know it sounds stupid, you're like, come on, Chris. The reason is, when people are browsing Steam, they just see a ton of capsules everywhere. And some person who loves tactical deck builders, you want them to go, oh, I bet that's that thing, and they click it. If that person has that brain of like, oh, I'm a tactical fan, I'm a tactical deck builder fan, they're going to breeze right by it, because your game looks like an action, rapid, clicking, reflex-based action game, and they're going to go right by your game, and you just lost a potential customer. So get cards in there. I like the idea of maybe just apply a subtle hex behind you. What I would recommend, though, is look at all the tactical deck builder games and just play the game where you're like, if you see anything twice between two different capsules, write that down. Those are ideas for you to add to your capsule to give those secret clues that you are a tactical deck builder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, what's the visual language for that genre? And the typography thing, it does sound obvious, but just having things like kerned close together and different sizes just looks like attention to detail has been paid. And it's one of those things, it's kind of like turning up for a job interview, right? If you seem like the kind of person that pays attention to detail in one area, then that kind of reflects well on everything else you're doing.
Often a problem is somebody will generate the AI, or maybe they even pay for an artist to come in, but they're like, nah, I'll do the text. And so you'll actually see a pretty nice looking capsule. I'm not saying AI art looks good. I'm just saying it looks kind of presentable. And then they'll do their own typography, and it's just drawing a mustache on the Mona Lisa. You're just like, oh, you just blew it. So also, if you're hiring an artist, have them do the typography too, because they can make it look good.
That's one of the main problems I have with AI art, besides all the other things that people don't like about it, is just you often end up with something that looks too polished for the rest of your game. And like you say, you slap your own typography on it and it just doesn't look like it's been done by the same person, which is kind of what matters. Drift, seen this one around before?
I have. I've seen this one. So, and the other thing, folks, is I see a lot of people that have done this before with another thing. This guy submitted to it. I find the devs that are really open to critiques, you see them a lot, and there aren't that many games out there. I know it sounds like so many games. I see the same people bouncing around these different things, and that's a good thing. That means these people are proactive. They're seeking feedback. So I think that's a great thing. So if we're just looking at the capsule, I think one of the things they originally did was their typography was a little hard to read what the letters were. Like I couldn't tell if it was an R or a B or something like that. It's a little better. I think that's good. The drift is better. The only thing is, and this is kind of a name thing. I mean, maybe they're trying to be crazy with it, but draft is a racing term, and what is it? Draft and drift are both racing terms. So there's a vowel separating those two. So is your game draft or is it drift? See what I mean? Isn't that weird? Like, I don't know what it is. I think you should pop some vowels in. Vowels are cool. I like vowels.
3 eyes.
3 eyes. Yeah. Triple I. We put the triple I in drift. That's a marketing slogan right there. Don't do that. But I know you're being cute with the name, but it doesn't make sense. And I never know if I should call this drift or draft. But anyway. The other thing, let's look at the main game. We do need to kind of look at these in parallel. When I read the text, I'm trying to figure out where it is. When I see the thing like that, I'm thinking Saul Bass, the way your capsule is. And your graphics are pretty good, like this 1950s Saul Bass, kind of sophisticated Cary Grant style 1950s spy hunter, that sort of thing. And then when I read the text, so that's what your graphic design is presenting. That's what I'm feeling when the graphic design. And then I read your text, a silly, wacky, drifting roguelike, and I'm like, what? That I'm seeing a conflict. Now, it could be that I don't understand silly wacky, because if I saw that, I'd imagine the capsule would be a guy with his eyes bugging out and he's going, what? That's silly and wacky to me. Where your capsule is, in your art of your game, is presenting sophisticated, challenging. And so when I read the short description and I look at the text, this is why I have to look at both of them at the same time. I'm getting this dissonance of what is this game? And again, I don't know if it's drift or draft or what. And so I'm with marketing, I'm always like, do I have more questions going in than I have coming out? And I feel like I don't know what your game is, and I'm getting too many questions, and I can't answer that for you. You have to tell me what it is. It's just, I'm not seeing everything line up. And it sounds obvious, or it sounds like, Chris, if you just did this and watched this 30-second trailer, you'd understand. Everything has to be like on the nanosecond. In the nanoseconds I look at, I'm confused.
All of the different bits are okay, but they're not pointing in the same direction, right?
I think your graphic design is great, but to me, that graphic design is used for sophisticated. I'd imagine a jazz score is playing over this with a little samba mixed in a little bit. That's the graphic design style you're going with. But then when you say wacky, silly, I'm like, what? There's nothing silly here. When you say wacky silly, look up What the Car, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's wacky.
That is
silly.
Wacky. The car has eyes and it's got legs. That is wacky silly. So see how it says words? They use the word silly. Then when you say silly, there's like a bear going like this. That is wacky and silly. Okay. And so that's why it's like you've got to figure out where your alignment is, and everything has to align.
That's kind of what creative direction is, right? It's getting everything pointing in the same direction, like how the game feels to play, how it looks, any kind of the fantasy element of like, who am I playing as and what's supposed to be cool about that. Okay, next one. Battle Lads.
Battle Lads. I like it when people turn the letters into things. I know it sounds stupid, but the T's are swords. I know it sounds stupid and obvious, like,
There's a sense of fun in it, isn't there? It's playful in what it's doing with the text.
and that's good. I can tell a graphic designer was in charge here. Let's see, action roguelike strategy, tribal warfare, fight alongside your troops while barking commands as the chief of their tribe. Each run, draft new enemies. This one, one thing I would pay attention to is the verbs you're using. Okay, and we got to tell. But if I read this, okay, fight, obvious. Barking commands. When I hear that, remember there was this game, I don't know if you know, there was a GameCube game called Odama. I actually have the Odama microphone. It was a pinball game where you'd actually yell into this microphone for the GameCube and then the game would respond. You would literally bark orders. You would say, go right, and the game would hear you and your troops on screen would go right. Is that what this game is? Let's go find out. Does it?
Let's see if there's any barking involved.
It doesn't. Is he barking? Would you consider that barking? I don't see the barking commands. And this is that confusion thing where it's like, okay, well, you can't use the term barking commands. When you're using verbs, I really think you should use the verb that is unique to your game. And so I don't know what's unique about it. It kind of looks like a deck builder because I see all the cards down there. I don't know. And so what I'm coming out of this is, I don't know what your unique selling proposition is here based on this. Like each run draft new champions. That's kind of every roguelike deck builder. And what I always say is cover up like the name of the game. Could your description describe another game? And if it could, especially the number one game in the genre, if it is, throw away all those words and only make it match your game, is what I'm saying.
And it looks like we've got some sort of like dudes on a map, like a Risk board game type thing here. And I can also see elements that look really appealing and interesting that aren't in the text. So if you look at the factions here, there's beasts, ronin, like samurai, knights, and synths. So you've got some really cool mashup of weird stuff fighting each other. And that's not really communicated in the...
Can we also watch the trailer one more time? Just real quick. Because I see action strategy. And I can't tell... who am I controlling here? So, okay, maybe it kind of looks like you are controlling. Okay, that does look like you're controlling a player. But then when I see... And this is a game... This is where I start ceding over to you, Joe. It seems like you got both deck and action. And maybe that's the combination. Like typically when I see hexagons and cards, I'm like, okay, this is a turn-based, sit back, strategize. But then when I see play that looks like I'm actually swinging the sword, that's the action part. Okay, so it sounds like you're mixing genres here, which can be okay. I think it's risky. From a marketing and market study, it's risky. But I think you should explain that. I think that is your hook, I think.
For me, all of this looks great. I really like the art style. I think this kind of comic booky art style is a good way to make a more casual strategy game. If you're making like a strategy game with some action elements, then this is kind of the right way to go. This kind of... it sort of reminds me of Castle Crashers or something like that. But I'm not sure from the trailer that I really understood what was happening in terms of what the player is doing with their hands.
That's the thing, is I don't see where the turn-based strategy meets the action thing, and that's your thing that you need to explain. In your trailer, in the first 3 seconds, it should show cards go down, army moves in, and then you are in control of that player. However you show that happen, that's your loop, right? I think. And so you've got to show that junction of card-based, turn-based, plus action sword slashing. And that's your biggest thing you got to solve. And if you can't answer that, nobody's going to understand your game.
Do you think this would be a case where the unique selling point is because it's relatively unique and hard to explain? Because I think the call-outs in the trailer do an okay job of this, but do you think this is the kind of case where it would be better to just have a more verbose voiceover explaining the game?
I think so. I was watching some trailers because I'm doing that review guesser, and the really deep strategy games, it's usually the most boring sounding guy, usually with an English accent for some reason, just explaining it like, like they're playing the game, but they're verbalizing what they're thinking. They're like, I've got an army coming up on my flank here. Should I spend more to get a bigger army to counter them, or should I try and divert? You're like, you have an explainer video where the player's explaining the decisions that you have to make as a player. And I think that's what this needs. And I often like that in a short description too. Like, should you spend more on cards, or should you spend more on your army, or whatever those decisions you make as a player could help figure out how this game plays.
That makes total sense, because with an action game, you can look at the video and you can kind of intuit what the player is doing, because it's like, oh, this is Hades, I know how the controls work. But the thought process is the thing that you're actually doing as a player in a strategy game. So having someone talk through that is what makes it kind of interesting and sort of understandable to watch, because then you can, so also anyone out there who needs a boring English guy to do a voiceover for one of those trailers, I'm available, in 1066 blah blah blah. And let's see what's next on the randomizer. 17.
All right, so this is one where I would say you need to hire a professional capsule artist and make them do the text too. Although you've used a script font, it's what I call the all caps problem, where every letter is equally capsed, equally sized. It's like a big rectangle of text. And that's the dead giveaway that a graphic designer was not involved. Usually a graphic designer will always add some flourish, like they'll make the A and they'll extend it and turn it into like a vine, or it'll wrap through the M and they'll connect and they'll do all these things. They do some text treatment. And then the other, and I would hire somebody for that. I see like a texture on the mountain, or in the castle behind them. I'm just gonna say, hire a capsule artist. It's worth it. Don't do AI. Hire an artist to do this. So that's my basic first gut feel.
Does it look like what it is? So we've got explore the catacombs of Portsmouth, solve puzzles, uncover the secrets that are lurking in the darkness, and save both yourself and the town above. Abyssum is an atmospheric physics-based puzzle game with action elements. What would you expect that to be from like the description?
Kind of like a chips challenge meets like Sakuban style or something,
not far off. Not far off.
I could tell.
We basically got H.P. Lovecraft does Boulder Dash, right? You kind of see it and it's all cute and silly, but then it has this very like creepy, Lovecraftian sort of Victorian music and atmosphere. And it's such an interesting mix of like such a, slightly abstract puzzle game and then spookiness. I quite liked it. And I think those things can go together quite a lot. People that like puzzle games often like atmosphere but not scares. You just want some sort of mood going on in the background.
I think charmingly, like if your memory is Balderdash, it fits that vibe. Which I think is cute. It reminds me, I used to play Balderdash in my friend's 286 in his bedroom, and it kind of reminds me of those feels. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. It is true. It has all been aligned. Just not enough in the videos that I'm seeing, not enough lampreys. I want to see more of that lamprey. You promised the lamprey. I don't see it in the trailers and stuff. So
the capsule art is almost a bit busy, because when I see this title screen, like the way that the art and everything in the background of this, it kind of looks like a retro children's book or something. It's like a very specific art style, and it kind of feels a bit more busy over here. Like we've got lots of stuff piled in, and I can't really get puzzled from that image necessarily.
I don't think you should say physics-based puzzles. Physics-based is very like Half-Life 2. Like there's swinging ropes and it's real-time physics. This, I know it is, yes, if you push the boulder, it'll fall, but it's not. I think that the saying it's a physics-based puzzle nowadays really means something different. So I would kind of temper that a little bit just based on that. I think if you just say catacomb puzzles, solving this sort of thing, I think that's more appropriate for where you are.
Retro block puzzle or something like that. Because the goal with marketing isn't to appeal to everyone, is it? It's to appeal to the exact right person for this. Yeah.
And I don't know what that subgenre is. This doesn't seem exactly like a Sakuban. Like you said, it's that Balderdash. There's probably some puzzle fan subgenre for what this game is. I don't know what it is. Investigate and call out those shibboleths to say that it's a one of those type of games. I don't know what they are, but I don't think it's physics-based puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, it's physics listed here as well, and I would think the folks that play these kind of soccer bound thinky games types thing wouldn't necessarily think of this as a physics puzzle again.
Before we go, let's go. Wait, before you go on, go down to the bottom. I want to look at your recommended games because your tags are a little wonky looking. So I just want to see what's being recommended. I'm just curious. Yeah, so you've got some wild stuff getting recommended here. Usually when your tags are all over the place, Steam's like, I don't know. I'm just going to pick the closest genre. We're just going to show the top genre thing. So you got Darkest Dungeon in there. You got Rain World, Halls of Torment. It's all over the place. And so what that tells me is Steam doesn't know what you are. And I'll tell you a couple tags that are throwing you off. Indie action. Like your game is not action. Indie is for, it's such a generic tag because so many people use it. I think it's the #1 most used tag. So get it out. When you use the #1 tag as a generic one, you've just wasted that spot because you can't tell people what it is. I think it should be like puzzle, Sokoban. I know technically, I don't think your game is actually a Sokoban by the strict definition that I'm sure has been debated on some forum somewhere. I don't think you are actually Sokoban by the definition, but I would still throw that tag in there. Go to anything that Alan Hazelton has done and just copy his tags because I think all those games that Alan Hazelton does are going to like your game. So just copy those games' tags. And I have a feeling I'd feel more confident if I saw like a Hard Snowman is tough to build or whatever that was, what that game called. Any of Hazelton's games should show up in your more like this section. So work on that.
And yeah, I mean, indie, it's kind of like I can tell, you know, we can look at the capsule art and we know that's not a AAA game, right? This isn't Ubisoft's Abyssum.
When you're doing your tags, I think a lot of people just they start the tag wizard up and then they just like look at it and it's like they're picking menu items off of like a, I don't know, like a dim sum menu or something. Like, yeah, I'll take a little indie, a little puzzle, a little dark. Yeah, put that in there, put that in there. That's not your strategy for when you're picking tags. You do the maze backwards. And so what I always recommend is find the game that is most similar to you. Same vibe, same audience, everything, and just copy their tags down in a little spreadsheet and just literally copy their tags. You can't just go in and just pull tags off the shelf. You're not going to match it that way. You should do the maze backwards so that you end up with the game that you want to be targeted to, because that's what the tags are for. So the Steam algorithm knows, oh, you like Alan Hazelton's games? This guy plays nothing but Hazelton games. Oh, we should do Abyssum right next to him. Let's recommend that guy Abyssum. That's what the tags are for.
I understand you've got a sale on at the moment for Black Friday.
Yeah, for everything I make. So I don't do consulting because most of the stuff is like, it's very similar, that I see very similar problems. So I just made a course so that I could not have to do the coaching side of things and let people take it at their own pace. And so everything that I make is on sale right now for this week. And I'm partnering with Joe here, and we are we're kind of collaborating. So if you buy the course using Joe's links, I don't know, he's going to put them somewhere. We're sharing together. We're sharing the profits of that. So if you want to support Joe's channel and learn about marketing, check them out down below. And but really what the course is called Wishlist and Visibility Masterclass, is the flagship course. And it is just step by step, email by email, like tweet by tweet, what you need to do to get your game out there. And one of the things that I added this most recent time I've done the update is that I do these roadmaps. And so it is like, if you're making this type of game, here's the roadmap. And the ones I do, I specialize in the special weird ones, like a horror game, a wholesome game, a game that you make in a short period of time that you release real quickly. And then I have a general roadmap that works for like 90% of games. So I think that's the newest neat addition. And then there's one other thing that I think you'll really like is key to any marketing campaign is a demo. That's the critical piece of infrastructure now. And like Joe said, he's good at the making. I'm not so much. So what I did was I interviewed a bunch of devs while I played their demo. So I played their demo with them, and these are successful demos like Tiny Glade, Slay the Princess, and we just went beat by beat through their game. And I was like, why did you add this to the demo? And they're like, oh, well, here's why. It's kind of like director's commentary, but for demos. So that might be of interest to your community, but everything's on sale. Go check it out with the links down below.
Speaking of dark puzzle games, have you come across this one before?
I have not. I've not seen this one. This guy has not sent me his game. So
we got some Breaking Bad stuff going on.
yeah.
We've got not necessarily an indication of gameplay in here that you would see, but it is straight away in the first few words. A dystopian block-pushing puzzler. You'll navigate through a secret hazardous laboratory complex, discover creative methods to destroy evidence, and cover up the crimes of your employer.
Okay. So here's what I would say is, and you have to be aware of the broader culture. I think you're going to attract Backrooms fans with this. It's not your fault, but the Backroom fans have taken over guys in a hazmat suit. And when you say hazard pay, like, yes, it's good. I think you need some drugs in here. Like, I know it sounds weird, but when I saw hazard pay, I was like, oh, there's probably a Backrooms game. And then when you said, oh, we got a Breaking Bad game, I was like, oh, okay, now we got that mix again. And so right now, and I don't know what that thing is at the very bottom. It kind of looks like a tentacle or something. Something's coming out. I thought this was like a Backrooms thing. I think you need some drugs in there.
I'm sort of exaggerating a little bit with the Breaking Bad because it's kind of a little bit closer to something like Half-Life. We're kind of clearing up lab accidents. A little bit gory.
Okay, well, I see crimes of your employer. And this is where the broader genres, you have to be aware of the broader marketplace. It sounds weird, but drug games are really popular. Like Schedule 1, also that Weedcraft, which was made by that. So it is a thing. So if this is drugs, I'd lead into the drugs. Okay, with your crimes, you can't just say crimes of your employer. I would just be more specific. It's like, hey, you work for a polluter. You gotta hide the polluter. Oh, see, okay, now I can see the hand. See, now it's a hand, and I see tentacles. And so now I'm like, well, what are you? And you're not Breaking Bad. You're like breaking, like Chahulu, the Hulu. I don't know, like. Just sell the fantasy. Like, you work for Cthulhu. I'm seeing some mystery. Sometimes indies, they get too mysterious, and they're like, I don't want to spoil it. Spoil it. Tell me what the crimes are. Like, who do I work for? What crimes are there? Am I a drug lord, or am I working for Cthulhu? What is it? Just tell me. I don't know.
Where we say cover up the crimes of your employer, we could say cover up your employer's, I don't know, like inhuman crimes, like something that really gets across this idea that these are crimes against nature, you know? These aren't drug crimes. These are like diabolical experiments, that kind of thing.
What do they say about country songs? They work because they're specific. And I don't like it when we got verb problems where it cover up your crimes. That's not interesting. It's more interesting if you said, your boss kills people every Friday. You have to hide the bodies. That is a crime. But it's a more specific crime. And just be specific. That's the main thing. I hate it when people go like, the verbs are like, jump, run, hide. No, it's like, you've got to be specific and say your boss kills people and you have to hide them. And also your capsule, when I saw the full screenshot of the capsule, which you can see at the beginning of the trailer, you cut off the hand. There it is.
So we see the full thing in the trailer,
there
but
it is.
The capsule is cut off.
Your capsule cut off the good bits. It's like when they turned pan and scan, they turned a nice widescreen film into pan and scan, and they cut off all the good stuff. You had tentacles and a hand. You can't tell in the capsule what it is. You ruined it, like in the capsule. You got to show the goods. Zoom out a little bit so I can see the scary bits.
If I was going to rewrite this, I would dedicate one sentence to just a list of what the crimes are. Like, you know, scientists cut in half, experimental research drugs, summoning creatures from another realm, whatever the like 3 interesting types of mess you have to clear up. And then you're giving people the specificity, but also kind of creating the sense of like, what's going on in this place, right? That kind of pulls you into it.
I would use biohazard instead of the corrosive chemical, where that hand with the chemical, just put the biohazard thing. I think that's more clear.
We've got soccer band, we've got puzzle, much more kind of closely aligned to what it is, atmospheric, grid-based movement. I'm kind of interested to see what this is like.
Go back to Draknek, because Draknek and Friends, click the publisher. So let's find what he's made several, and some are more on the dark side. Let's see if he's made a dark side. Bonfire Peaks. That might be a good one.
Looks a little bit more atmospheric. So this is soccer band, puzzle, difficult indie, adventure, voxel.
You can't do the voxel, but I think everything else. Let's go down and see what his more like this look like. Those sound like pretty good tags.
We've got tunic. I mean, I guess they're getting the adventure tag is kind of where we're getting tunic and blueprints, but it's still quite unusual. Witness makes sense. It's like a mildly story-driven. Manifold Garden makes sense.
Puzzle Depot. These are better. These are looking a little better.
Do you think it's better generally to start with less tags, to go for like 4 rather than 6?
The algorithm actually just weights the top 5 or so. The rest, I think, don't matter as much. But the first 5 tags are the most important in the Steam algorithm. You should always do all the tags. And Valve recommends this. They say do all the tags. Like your tagging wizard, it's hard not. You can see in the algorithm when you're going through the tagging wizard, it gets really feisty if you try and leave with fewer tags. So they're like, you're missing tags and stuff like that. So I always follow what's the algorithm telling me to do, and it's like 20 tags.
But base them on similar games rather than your own gut feel, because that's the closest thing that we have to any sort of real data on what works, right? We find it's exactly what you said about. When you're looking at the capsule art and you're trying to work out, okay, what do similar games do in their capsule art? You sort of look at a few, cross-reference them, triangulate them, and try and work out, okay, here are the rules for what works. That's the closest thing we can do to, in terms of like, we don't have data on the performance of our own thing in the future. We only have data on the performance of other people's things, right?
Exactly. And look, he's pushing a block. Like the capsule literally has a guy pushing the block. So for the Abyssal guy... Make him pushing something. Like when you hire a professional artist, show him Bonfire Peaks and like, I want the guy pushing a block. I know. And it sounds, when I say it, it sounds so stupid. Like I know it sounds stupid, but this is how you have to communicate with people. They have to be at the sub-brain level. And so you're going to be obvious. You're like, Chris, it's so obvious.
And the kind of cool thematic stuff about your game, like the HP Lovecraft, can be like background detail, but the main thing should be, here's the character doing the verb that you're doing in the game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rogue Jack 21. I think that's a pretty good title. I feel like that's a game where you can almost immediately tell what it's going to be just from the name. Although,
let's talk about this capsule. I love this capsule. I love this capsule because this is what I'm telling you all. Like, not subtle. It's called Rogue Jack, and then in the numbers, they kind of look like a slot machine. It says 21, and there's cards everywhere. You're like,
and they're even like, you can sort of see the Balatro. Oh, there's a glass card. There's you know what you're getting with this. It's suggesting what the with games, it's like you have the core mechanic of what you're doing, and then you have like the strategy that the designer has done for giving you some sort of depth or replay value, and that is often the area that I think gamers are going to be skeptical about when they see your game, because they play your demo and it's like 2 hours long and that's like 80% of the game, and then they're like, where's the rest of the game, right? So when you show me all this stuff and I can see all of these visuals that show me where the variety in the game comes from, it's kind of like the bad example of this is like the guy with the sword trailer, where they show them walking through all of the environments and they're like, hey, we got an ice place, we got a fireplace, and it's like, okay, can you show it in a slightly more exciting way? But you're at least showing people, look, this game has variety and there's more than one type of content, there's all this different stuff, and this is doing that all in just the capsule by showing us all the cards in this way.
I get that it's Balatro meets Blackjack. Blackjack deck builder. I think people are just going to be sold on that, and then what they're going to do is they're going to try out your game. I think that's it. And maybe the only other aspect might be like you add just one little description of the mechanic. I think the Ruthless Mafia, Noir City, I don't know if you necessarily need to go in there that depth. The reason somebody's going to play a deck builder, a roguelike deck builder, is the mechanics, not the like theme on top of it. They're like, well, I wasn't sold until you said the Mafia. I think it's going to be, maybe add one sentence of some unique mechanic. Like Balatro was all about the Jokers and stuff. Like, what is your unique mechanic that makes this fun? Where like 21 means you can upgrade your cards or something like that.
Yeah. This is one that came through the review show when it was being worked on, and it was a lot more Balatro first time round, and it had a lot of emphasis on the Jokers. And my feedback was like, look, I get Joker's a card thing, but it's so strongly associated with Balatro now. That's like saying you're going to open a burger joint and you're going to have a clown as the mascot. It's such a big deal. And I think you can have this stuff as the kind of background creative direction of your thing. Oh, it's, you know, themed around a dodgy casino where you might get your legs broken, but it doesn't necessarily need to be front of mind.
So what you're saying is this poor guy who's watching this, and you told him one thing last time, and now I'm telling him to put it back the way it was. Folks, that's going to happen. There's no universal thing. We all of us consultants and stuff have different takes on things and different taste. So you can believe whoever you want. Don't think that there's an answer. Like, I was right, and then he's wrong, and then he's wrong, and I'm like, it's different. So don't do what you think. But the thing to take from it is, what are you feeling?
It's also a matter of what goes in here, right? Because you can have that theme there as part of your game. It's just a case of understanding whether or not it's the draw. Because it might be something that people like once they get into the game, but is it something that the player of this game is going to be drawn to it for? Personally, the thing that decides whether I play this game or not is not going to be the theme, whether it's, you know, jokers or casinos or whatever. But I think it's quite helpful that it has one, because it gives all of the, you know, you can see there are like backgrounds where it's a casino, and we've got a couple of characters of like, this is who you're playing against, and that kind of helps to just give it something. But whether or not that really needs to be here is kind of a different thing.
My general thought, my feeling is, I don't like lore in the short description, because other than very, very, very specific narrative, like novels, visual novels, people don't buy games based on lore. They like lore, but only once they've gotten into the game. And so what, in my personal opinion, and what I always coach people on, is mechanics first, the gameplay mechanics and the type of genre it is on the Steam page. And you put hints of it. Like, I can tell it's kind of mafioso. You got a guy with a fedora on there, and his collar's popped up. Okay, I get it. Like, that's all I need. You don't have to say, this is the mafia guy here. Like, I know it. I can kind of get it. So that's my general advice, is mechanics first, and then you let the video and the screenshots kind of say, oh yeah, it's 30s noir or something like that.
It's Oscar Isaac, who's got really good at cards. Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with that. I think people mix up lore and fantasy. Like, we don't care about the plot. We maybe care about the fantasy. Oh, you're playing about... And that mostly just comes down to, like, which type of badass do I get to be in this game?
That was my feedback for the Biohazard game with the dripping thing. It was like, well, what is the fantasy? Am I hiding bodies? Am I cooking up drugs? Like, what is the fantasy? And that's the extent of the lore. It's like, what crimes am I hiding?
Yeah, exactly. This one, I think, has been... We saw this one has turned up on some streams and stuff, so it's kind of doing all right with the deck builder community. Negative space. Explore the cosmos with combos instead of combat. Assemble your crew and gear them up with a plethora of wacky gadgets and wild synergies to visit faraway galaxies and overcome unexpected crises. So I can already predict two of the things you're going to say based on what we've heard today. There's no cards here. But we do have a letter that's turned into a thing. So it's kind of like the no cards takes it down a mark, and then the A that's a spaceship goes back up to neutral, right?
I have not seen this before, and so I had no idea what cards were involved in this. Like, it was a deck builder thing. Like, when I see that, like, the first verb is explore. And so I'm always thinking, like, oh, this is like open world survival craft. You know, open world survival craft explore. I don't know. It's like, I always kind of like the thing where it's like, I kind of like that roguelike 21 game where it was like, you hit him over the head. So like, I got it. It's a deck builder. So it was like, deal with space. You get it, like, deal with space, or like, you know, deal with the hand you were dealt or something. Not literally that. I'm just kind of coming off the top of my hand. But some of those card words in your description to say, you know, and I don't know, explore the cosmos with combos instead of combat. I don't know. When you say explore the cosmos, it makes me think of Star Trek. I don't really think of Star Trek in combat. So you're already saying, you're warning me against something that I was never worried about, you know, like, oh, don't worry, there's no combat here. I was like, yeah, I know, we're exploring space. We're not dominate. If you said dominate space without combat, that's the counter where you're like, oh, okay, thanks for setting the expectations. But you're like, explore the cosmos without combat. I'm like, I wasn't expecting combat. So I don't know. I'm just not getting the fantasy here, but I kind of would say start this one over and just say a deck builder about exploring space.
Yeah.
And instead of overcome unexpected crises, I don't know what kind of crises to expect.
Yeah.
So tell me the crises. Don't tease that they're going to be unexpected. Just say like, hey, deal with broken. This is part of that fantasy that we're always talking about. Hey, you blow a gasket and you got to patch your spacesuit or something. Tell me the fantasies. Tell me the crises that I'm going to have to overcome, because that's part of the fantasy. Like, oh yeah, I'm like fixing my spaceship and an alien shoots me in the head. Is that a fantasy, or is that the crises? Just tell me the crises. I'm a big boy. Tell them to me. I don't know.
Do you want the country music version?
Give me the country music version. Just tell me my I'm getting a divorce and I lost my tractor, as they always say, Tell me. Don't say unexpected crises like your wife's divorcing you, you're losing your tractor. How do you deal with that? That is country music. And your description should be country music. Tell me my crises. Don't tell me that I have a crisis.
Explore is a good top level kind of verb. It's kind of an exciting verb, but it does make us think of like spatial things and walking around and everything. So I would reword this to use deck build as a verb, right? And be like, deck build your way across the cosmos with da-da-da instead of da-da-da, Avoiding the confusion that people might get from thinking exploring is running around, which it's not in this case. We've got was talking to the developer about this, and I looked up this art style, and it actually has a name. It's called Memphis Junior, which is what they use for like Nickelodeon and that kind of stuff. And that's like what this is all the way through. It's like quite consistent in that style.
Sometimes you can get a little too creative with the art styles. When somebody sees something that is like, it's Memphis Junior. I know nobody really knows Memphis Junior, but when it's kiddie style looking, a lot of people are like, oh, it's probably a kid's game. You are sending the message, this is for kids, and kids are not on Steam. And they think, oh, this is a baby game. This is like my first deck builder or something. And Steam likes dark, gritty, hardcore. I know it's not fun. And you're like, God, I don't like those dark, gritty guys. I want to have a fun game. Not on Steam. And so what I'm saying, like, it's too late to change this negative space. But what I'm going to tell you is, the type of game you make really influences the graphic design style you have. And so there could be a risk here, and it's a very big risk, is that people are going to look real quick and they see Memphis Junior and they're going to say, this is a junior deck builder. And it's going to hurt you. You really have to, and I know it's too late, but I'm talking to everybody in the future. Your art style is so critically important. Very, very critical. Like, I have a feeling if we split the universe and you picked a dark, gritty art style, like, this is a neat concept, but it's like the crises are like my spacesuit got cut off when a piece of jagged metal cut off my hand, and one of the screenshots is like a spaceman with a bloody stump going, oh, that would sell really well. And I know it's like, but that's gross. That's not my dream. Those would sell so well on Steam. Like a dark, gritty space game with deck building elements. Oh, that's cool. Or like a guy and he's got like a tentacle coming out and blood shooting out of his eyes because he accidentally got an alien parasite into a suit. And that is one of the crises. Oh man, Steam would eat that alive. And so, folks, you really have to be careful with the art style you pick and the audience on Steam. I'm just warning you all.
There's some quite thematically dark stuff that you don't get from the art style, like sacrificing crew members and stuff that is in this game. But I would kind of say with this one, it feels like you've already gone in that direction. So slap the cozy tag on it, because you're going to get some people that like this art style, wouldn't normally play a really crunchy fighty deck builder, but are like, hey, I'll dip my foot in that genre because this one is kind of cutesy and kiddie and soft looking. And then you might kind of get a kind of audience segment that a deck builder might not normally get. Because the way this game works is like, these are quite abstract. They're like things you need to resolve. You need to go and explore these planets, or there's one where it's like a traffic jam outside a space station, and you can't do the space station if you don't clear the traffic jam first. And then occasionally there's darker things like a big space dragon killing your crew or whatever. But generally, it's quite soft. So I would make sure that it had the cozy tag, because even if the developer's not thinking of this as a cozy game, this art style kind of puts it in that group. And cozy is not a game genre; it's just a general mood.
Look right up there. You got a mace, a bow and arrow, sword and a shield, and you promised no combat. In your description, you said no combat. I'm just quoting you. I'm not quoting anything else. Look at that short description. No combat instead of combat. What's at the top? Combat. That's false advertising. You got false advertising right there. So, and again, this is where it's like everything has to align. Like, so if you have combat, which is fine, it's totally fine for your cute, wholesome game to have bludgeoned somebody with a mace, totally fine, but it just all has to align. So don't say no combat, because I can clearly see combat in the screenshot.
I mean, they're constellations rather than things, but yeah, maybe a different.
Is that Orion's sword or something?
Yeah, don't you know these constellations? They're real ones, I think. Right, let's check out.
We didn't make up a mace. I definitely saw a mace.
Let's check out Friendos. So, FriendOS is a single-player online bullet hell RPG set within a virus-infected computer. Customize your friend and team up with others to fish, socialize, and explore the depths of a dying operating system.
When I saw that, I thought it was, you ever watch Old Country for Old Men? You ever seen that movie? It's a classic one. Remember, he's like, hey, friendo. That's it. Javier Bardem, he always calls people friendo. Yeah. He's like, what's your fate, friendo? Right? You thought it, right?
Yeah.
What is happening? Why does he have a bat? Now I think that fox is Javier Bardem hitting him with he's like, hey,
it's like a furry sadomasochism simulator or something.
What is happening with that guy with the bat? Let's see. Let's watch the trailer. Sometimes I have to like bounce. Okay. Oh, I saw the bat.
We're getting lots of different camera angles, which is quite exciting, and lots of variety in terms of what's going on, which is kind of confusing, but also sort of intriguing at the same time.
Okay, so they're hitting each other with the bat? Is that what? Because I saw the bat swinging. Okay, and he's got the mallets. Okay. And then they're hitting balls at each other. Okay. And then you swing. Okay.
It's like it seems like a very wacky kind of WarioWare Mario Party type collection of games, but the problem I get with that, and I've seen people talk about this when they've made sports-themed single-player games, is that this genre just naturally kind of it kind of tells you it's a multiplayer game, but it says it's a single-player. Oh, it says single-player / online.
Okay. Yeah, then take that word single-player out.
Mm-hmm. I kind of get what they're trying to do. They want to make people understand that they don't have to play it multiplayer, but games that are multiplayer, they tend to be designed as multiplayer first, and then the single player option is there, and people expect it to be there, but it's not really part of the marketing. Like, sorry if I'm offending anyone, no one plays a game like Overcooked single player, and if they do, they're not really getting the experience of playing Overcooked, right? Like, sitting there shouting at themselves, going, no, you're doing it wrong, and like a ventriloquist dummy. So you might as well just say it's a multiplayer game and then let people know somewhere else that it has a single player mode, because that's not going to be the draw for most people on this kind of game. Yeah,
and here's the other thing that I'm thinking is that there are if it's kind of like this game, there are these like hangout games. This is kind of one of these hot new genres that popped up, and I'm thinking of something, I can't remember the names of them all. There it is. And it's like a hangout game, and you just like hang out with your friends. I think this might be that type of game. And see, look at the description of that. I think this is a good description for what it is. It's a multiplayer chat room focused fishing game, relax and fish. I think that's what this Friendos, hey Friendo, is doing. So when you see this thing like Bullet Hell RPG, I think it's just making it too, I think you can just say it's a hangout thing, because that's the fantasy you're selling. It's like hang out with your friends and do wacky stuff. You don't have to list all the things, or like if you say that Bullet Hell sub games include Bullet Hell, fishing, sports, or something. But when you pack it in at the front, it confuses people, I think. So I think it's like Friendos is a multiplayer hangout chat game. some sub games include, and then you just list out those games. I think by jamming all that stuff at the front, you might be confusing people. That's my thought.
Yeah, because the people that want to play the Hangout game, I mean, they might not even know what this is, right? Your biggest audience for like Hangout friend slot type games might not be people that have swallowed the dictionary of game genre titles. So you say bullet hell and they're like, I don't know, that sounds scary and hard. I don't want to do anything with hell in the title. And then you're putting off the people that would have just happily hung out in this game and played fishing with their friends, you know?
Yep. And the other thing is like the depths of a dying operating system. Like, I feel like that's a very subtle thing. And I think that might be like, it would be better if you just let people discover that it's a dying operating system. Like that's something like after like 5 hours of playing this game, you and your friends would go, guys, I think we're playing in a dying operating system. And I feel like that's a thing. Like, I don't think you need to mention dying operating system, because then that like uncovers a whole bunch of gameplay that I have to then start thinking about. Like, does that mean I have to be constantly worried about bringing the operating system back up? It's just such a subtle thing that I don't think you hit them with that. The big selling point is hang out with your friends. There's lots of mini games. And then the secondary, this is really third order of like, you're in an operating system and it's dying. That's why I say it's like a third order thing, and you're putting it right up front. This is the curtains and the deeper message that people will get after spending dozens of hours playing your game.
Yeah, it's a bit bleak to foreground. It sounds kind of creepy and not aligned with what you're actually doing in this. And as you say, that's kind of clocking onto that after playing the game for hours and hours is like a big reward for players. So if you tell them up the front, it's like you know, changing. I'm going to do a spoiler here. Sorry if you've not watched Sixth Sense. But it's like if you called the movie Sixth Sense the guy who doesn't know he's dead, and that's like the title of the movie. You know, like the opposite of Don't. If you've got a cool secret thing that isn't like super important for people to know at the beginning, make sure it's like a reward for people to find it out. Should we do 2 more? Let's do 2 more.
Yeah,
and then wrap up, because I feel like we've covered a lot of the things that are the general things that people have problems with. We've got quite a good mix of things across the board. So I'm glad that the random number generator didn't just give us 20 soccer band games in a row. Starless Umbra. What's the first reaction? So, a story-rich action RPG inspired by classic and modern JRPGs. Engage in real-time combat, customize your party, and explore puzzle-filled dungeons in a couch co-op adventure where friendship and loyalty are tested in a world consumed by a noxious fog.
I actually think that's pretty good. Like that, I get it. Like everything's aligned. There's nothing too crazy about it, you know, like where I'm like scratching my head. That sounds like a JRPG. I mean, I guess the only thing is like inspired by classic and modern JRPGs. Well, like what's left, you know? So just like JRPGs. The only other thing I would think is we got all caps problem where it's like Starless Umbra. It's just like that. I think you could do a typography treatment. And if you think about classic JRPGs, they always have the most elaborate text logos, word marks, I think they call them. If you're setting that expectation of like, this is a classic JRPGs have classic text things. So I would hire a designer to make one of those for you. I just think that would just elevate you to fulfill that fantasy of classic RPGs.
And this could be inspired by the best of classic and modern JRPGs, right? Because then you're trying to set yourself up as a aficionado. It's like, we've looked at the best of the old stuff and the best of the new stuff, and we've deliberately chosen the best bits, rather than just, oh, it's inspired by all of it, we like it all. And that's not setting you up as an expert. I would say this sentence is quite long as well, and I think you could stop it here. You could stop puzzle-filled dungeons, full stop. A couch co-op adventure with da-da-da-da-da, because reading this out loud was like, and it kind of gets a bit tumbled up. But it's a good set of stuff, and it feels very kind of clear in what it's going for.
The only thing that I would have with that is when you say JRPG, my immediate assumption is, oh, you know what I'm going to be doing is some real-time combat with a party and exploring a dungeon. Like, that is what a JRPG is to me. You know what I mean? So you don't have to then restate it because you're already trying to appeal to JRPG fans. And And so what I would just say is what's unique, and it sounds like that co-op thing's cool, couch co-op. I mean, not a lot of JRPGs are couch co-op, and say you could just cut out all the stuff that comes along when you say something's a JRPG, and I would instead focus on the things that make your game different than the typical JRPG. Having a noxious fog, though, JRPGs are so full of noxious fog. So I actually think that's cool to mention noxious fog, because I'm like, classic JRPG, that fog. Where's that fog?
There was the fog all along. Action RPG, JRPG, local multiplayer, pixel graphics, 2D. I'm always a bit wary of when people use pixel art as a marketing thing, because I don't think anyone ever sits down and like uses pixel art in a search engine, or it's not like a determining factor on whether someone likes a game or not. Like, I think people who are into pixel art tend to be more picky about the pixel art, and then they'll be like, I like stuff that looks like a SNES game from 1995. And there'll be people that just don't like anything that is pixel art, but I just don't think it's ever really the deciding factor.
Well, for tags, it's okay if that is what the rest of the other genres. Remember, the tags are not for us. Tags are for Steam, the algorithm. And so if it turns out, and we can go down to the bottom, it could turn out that every JRPG, 2D JRPG has the pixel art tag. Then I said, put that pixel art tag in. Really, it's the tags aren't for us. And it looks like you got some great matches here. And so it could be like, don't touch it. Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the other
It's getting it pretty well.
Nailed the tags. Let's see.
It's gonna, this is gonna get to the right people based on what I can see here, because it's getting the kind of mechanical elements, and the kind of story vibe of the big melodramatic JRPG thing. It's getting both of those here, so that's a good sign.
Yep. See Octopath Traveler. Let's go back to Octopath Traveler there. What do they have? Pixel graphics. And see, that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't make sense to say pixel graphics in tags, but the algorithm says you got to do it. Octopath did it for the third one, and then I noticed another one had it. I saw two that you just kind of scan through real quick, and they had that pixel art thing. Oh, Chained Echoes had it. So again, it doesn't make sense. There's no logic behind tags other than you're trying to steal an audience from whoever you're doing. You see what I mean?
That makes sense. It's similarity of like, what is this thing in the database? What is this thing tagged as in the database? Because that's all they've got. It's like, what is it tagged as, and some user data. It's not the equivalent of do you know how the Spotify algorithm works? Like, it actually listens to the song. So it listens to the songs and compares the sonic profiles. So if you listen to loads of like grubby garage rock music that's not mixed very well, it will know you're okay with that, and it will like queue up other stuff where it sounds like it's recorded in a trash can, because their algorithm can actually listen to the files. But you can't get the AI to like play all the games and go, hey, this platformer feels kind of like this platformer. Yeah, we're not quite there yet. So it's all about association on a big database, and these tags are the easiest way to do that. So they seem to have done a good job there of aligning themselves with the right games through their tags. 21. Have we got 21? Let's see what's the last game on the list for today. Escape from Mu. We've got a thing that's a letter. It's your favorite. The O is
you turned a vowel into an object. I love it.
Just love it when a vowel turns into an object. A first-person puzzle adventure where you solve mechanical puzzles made by primitive engineers. You transform into a scarab so you can study the mechanisms. That's an intriguing sentence to me. You transform into a scarab so you can study the mechanisms. In my mind, that's good marketing, because that kind of creates this question mark moment of like, huh? What's that? I want to know what that means, and then I'll go and watch the video to have that question answered. So it's kind of like pulling me in with this weird, like, huh? Like, unanswered question.
If I could cover up the name of the game, could it describe any other game? Definitely not. Definitely not. You transform into a scarab and look at the mechanisms.
Yeah, I mean, you might do one of those things in a game, but not linked in that way. And as you escape each room, you'll piece together a forgotten language and connect the meaning behind the challenge. So I play a few of these. Like, my partner is a linguist. Anytime there's a game where you have to decipher a language and fill out a book, we're straight on it. Chance of Sonar, Heaven's Vault, nerd out over that stuff. So there's definitely like a market for this type of thing with constructed languages. So we've got exploration, puzzle, first person, immersive sim, and logic. So
Now,
you can
what
see
I'm
our
seeing
scarab
here,
there.
or not seeing, I don't see any letters. I don't see any language in any screenshot. You promised, just like the combat game, it said no combat. And then what do we look? We see combat weapons.
Yeah.
You promised deciphering a forgotten language. Guess who forgot a language? It wasn't the engineers. It was you. You forgot to put the language in the game. So I would expect there should be a screenshot where it's like just all these runes in a nice grid and like somebody like going, oh, I don't know. I'm just kidding. But there should be some language there. I don't see it.
Some of these screenshots are much better than the ones they had before because they sort of invite you in. Like I see this and I kind of want to work out what's going on there. You know, it invites my brain in. But these two at the end are really let it down and I would just take them out. So this one, it's like, wow, you can climb a ladder. And it's almost like this is one of those screenshots where the dev is really proud of a particular thing in the game. And that probably is a good thing once you're playing it to have a body and a cool animation when you're climbing up a ladder. But it's not exciting as a piece of marketing. And it's also prioritizing the wrong thing because this isn't an action game where your body matters. And then here, this is like, am I playing Skyrim? Am I punching skeletons until they fall down? That's what this screenshot tells me. It's like... And I've played this game, and the skeletons are actually quite a fun part of it because basically you die while doing the puzzles, right? And then you come back, and all of your previous skeletons are there. So it's kind of like the Super Meat Boy see your failures kind of thing. It's a really good feature in the game. But when you show it here on the Steam page, it just looks like I'm playing a game about punching skeletons, you know?
Totally,
it's a
I get it.
different game.
So I'm just kind of going through the list of what you told me. You said first person puzzle. Okay, I can see the first person aspect. Mechanical puzzles. I thought you did a good job. You showed the gears. You showed the pulleys. That's good. We can't see the primitive engineers, but you turned into a scarab. Do we see a scarab picture?
We can see the scarab better here, but here it's kind of like right at the bottom. It's harder to see.
Yeah, you've got to do some screenshots where it makes no sense to play the game the way the screenshot is, and still it visually represents that. So it could be like the scarab is like going up against a wall, and if you were playing the game, you would never... That would be a dumb thing to do, but you would do it for your screenshots so that people go, there's a scarab, you know. So sometimes you have to fake it in the screen. Not literally fake it, but you have to do something unnatural in the game so that it looks good in screenshots.
The language that you said was missing, I think there are some glyphs and symbols here, but they're just not very prominent. I can see them on these cubes. But yeah, just not really big enough to be a draw and to make someone look at it. Like if I looked at this without reading the description, which some people will do, then I wouldn't get that there is any kind of language-based puzzle in this game. You know, I'd look at this and think, okay, that's a one-off, you know, Skyrim dungeon puzzle or something, but actually it sounds like it's much more of a big sprawling thing across the whole game.
You got the text, you got all cap syndrome, which I don't like, where it's like, it just doesn't look like, and then a border on the text. That border on the text means I'm not a graphic designer. It just screams not graphic. Anytime you put an outline on text, I've never seen a graphic designer that's very professional do that. Get a graphic designer to do it. I think you should get a pro capsule on that.
This is like this is meant to look like ink on a map, you know, like a car. It's doing the genre thing of like, this is a game about archaeology, which is kind of good. It's a good typographic choice in that sense. But then we've got the outline, which looks like a glow you'd have around like a solid letter. You know, like when you have a big Warcraft logo and it's big golden solid letters. And that makes sense for them to have a glow behind because it's a physical object. But here it's like a flat ink on something. So I can almost imagine it with, you know, that they do that effect sometimes when there's like a map in a movie and it's sort of all like burning away at the edges and sort of melting, like that kind of thing on here. But
go with a graphic designer. They know how to do those things. They're really good at it. So, and also like the background, it looks like maybe you used a screenshot from an earlier version of the engine because now you've got a lot more texture on your walls. And the picture in the screenshot has an older texture, maybe. I don't know, but hire a graphic designer. They're worth their money. They're worth it.
Hope you've got something from this that you can take away and use on your own pages. I feel like a lot of the things that we covered are quite universal things that will relate to all sorts of different games. Think about your tags. Do what Chris said. You know, go and look at your closest competitors. Try and put yourself next to them in the database. Try and make sure that your screenshots align with what you say your game is about. You know, some of this stuff is generic marketing stuff, right? Like how you write marketing copy to describe a product, how you do graphic design. All of this is like transferable marketing stuff you could learn outside of games. But a lot of what you do, Chris, is understanding Steam very specifically as a platform. It's not how to do well on the Nintendo eShop. It's not how to do well on itch. It's not how to do well on the Google Play Store. It is specifically you understanding how Steam works, how it changes every year or every 6 months.
I specialize in Steam marketing. Even with this perfect Steam page, you still need to drive traffic to your page, and that's what gets you the wish list. Just making a perfect Steam page doesn't get you a wish list. It just primes you for when it does happen. And that's what I write about, is like, how do you actually get people to come to your store page? How do you generate all that traffic? How do you get influencers to play your game? All that kind of stuff. And so the Great Friday bundle is everything I've ever made in one cheap package. It's like everything, it's the cheapest it's going to be all together. And then we have the visibility wishlist masterclass that just tells you how to get the wishlist and the visibility. I do a lot of things like the roadmap of how to market your game and stuff. Pitching and funding masterclass. I actually partnered with somebody who's an expert in getting publishers to sign you, and also getting funding either from like a venture firm, not really venture, but it's mostly what they call project-based funding. How to pitch yourself, how to get your game funded, and then we've got Inside Conference 25. 23. There's a whole, I've been doing this for 3 years, and basically what I do is I take the previous year, any devs or marketing people who did something awesome, I just call them up and say, hey, do you want to just interview? And they're just little mini conferences where you don't have to go anywhere and you don't have to get COVID. You just watch these wonderful lectures by really smart people who did amazing things. I saw a lot of puzzle games in your thing. I talked to somebody who had a successful puzzle game. Like how they marketed a puzzle game, that sort of thing. So that's what those Inside Conferences are. And then Game Marketing Ideas Database. That is, I just scan Steam. I look at Steam every day looking at weird stuff. And if I see something that's awesome that you could just steal and use for yourself, it's in there. It's just a database of every idea I've ever seen. And there's also lectures in there that I've given that I don't upload to YouTube. I do a year-in review where I go back over the year and I look at what type of games sold well and where the industry's going. And it's a recap of the previous year. And I only upload those to the Game Marketing Ideas database. And so you can watch those. All kinds of weird stuff are in the database. So it's kind of like, I call it my junk drawer. You know, it's like, I don't know where to fit this stuff, but it's cool. And so it goes in Game Marketing Ideas. And so all that stuff is on the deepest discount for the year. This is the last sale of the year. And the thing is, if you buy it through Joe, he gets a cut and it helps supports his channel. And so we just split the revenue of these. So check them out. Use his links. Get him some help. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So like if you're like, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure if it's going to fit, just get it and then refund it. All you have to do is just message. You just push a button and say, Chris, I don't want it. You don't even have to say why.
And if you're set up as a business, then it's a business expense, right?
So just make sure you put your business tax ID in there when you buy it, and then you get you can claim it on your taxes.
Cool. Thank you so much, Chris. And I do really appreciate what you do, because, you know, behind every successful indie game, there has been some sort of marketing going on. And I think what you do when you talk to devs and you kind of get their wisdom on something is really helpful, because a lot of these folks, if you ask them to give a talk about anything they want at GDC or some smaller conference, they're never going to talk about their marketing, right? You need someone to like actively go and ask them about it, because a lot of the time they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about, you know, uncertainty in card games or something like more kind of designy, nerdy. And so to have someone out there that is going and sort of like poking them and going, hey, tell me about your marketing strategy, is really, really helpful. And the fact that you've been like kind of doing that with case studies in different genres and everything like that is super helpful. So thank you for that.
Bye. Thanks for having me.